us now begin with the next topic, chemical properties of carbon compounds. The first property that we'll be studying is combustion. What is combustion? Burning of a substance. So if you take any carbon compound and you burn it, it always produces carbon dioxide along with the liberation of heat and light. Carbon, if you just burn pure carbon, whenever you're burning, you burn in the presence of oxygen. So, CO2 is produced. Along with that, heat and light. Next, CH4. What is CH4? C, single carbon, 4 H's are combined with it. So, everyone satisfied? Methane. Meth for root word 1 carbon and ane because all are single words, single bonds. It belongs to alkane series. So when methane burns in the presence of oxygen, or in methane on burning in oxygen gives carbon dioxide, since there is H here, it will also form water. It will also form water. Along with that, heat and light. CH3, CH2, OH. OH means alcohol group. How many carbons are here? 2 carbons. So the root word eth. All are single bonds. Ethane. But it's an alcohol. Remove the E, put the OL. Ethanol. So this is just like a small recap of your IUPAC naming. Ethanol on burning in oxygen again gives carbon dioxide along with heat and light. But since there's hydrogen, water also forms. These reactions are not balanced. Let's balance it. So first make this even. So it becomes 4H, 1C. There are 4 oxygens, so 2 2s. I hope you know balancing by now. We've done enough equations for you to know balancing, right? Okay. So 3 plus 2 plus 1, 6. 3 plus 2 plus 1, 6. So this needs a 3. And there are 2 carbons here, right? So let's count 2 carbons. Yes, satisfied. What about oxygens? 2 2s are 4. 4 plus 3. 4 plus 3. 7. There's 1 here. It needs another 6. So 3. Satisfied. Activity 4.3. In this activity, we are going to take different carbon compounds and we are going to burn it in the presence of air. We will see what flame color do we observe and whether it forms deposits or not. What is this deposits? There are few substances that when you burn give you a black deposit, a black carbon deposit. That's nothing but carbon. For example, camphor. When you use camphor, that's nothing but sometimes called karpura while doing puja. So you all keep that karpura and you burn it, right? So if you keep your hand on it for quite some time, you will see a black deposit on your hand. Even if you use a substance like wood and burn it, you will see black deposits. So why does this happen? But if you keep it on LPG gas and the gas in your house, will it burn? Will you get a black deposit? No, right? So what do we understand by this? Benzene. If I take benzene, if you remember inside benzene there were double bonds and single bonds, alternate double and single. Double was present. You see the flame, it will be smoky. That means black deposits are there. Naphthalene, also smoky. Black deposits are there. Camphor, smoky. Black deposits are there. Alcohol, if they simply say alcohol, which alcohol is it? You have so many alcohols. If you generalize and say alcohol, we are referring to ethanol. We are referring to ethanol. So alcohol, when you try to burn, you get a non-luminous flame. That means no color and it's not bright enough, but it's burning. Non-luminous flame. Spirit. Spirit is nothing but methanol. Again, non-luminous flame. Acetone. Acetone is nothing but propanone. Again, non-luminous flame. In all these cases, you don't find black deposits. So what can we generalize by this experiment? By this experiment, I can generalize that all these three compounds that you've taken, no, initially they either have a double bond or triple bond. These are all unsaturated hydrocarbons. These are all unsaturated hydrocarbons. These are all saturated hydrocarbons. How can you say it's saturated? Acetone, there's double bond. When you're talking about double bond or single bond, we are referring to double bond or single bond between carbon and carbon. Okay. So unsaturated hydrocarbons on burning usually give a smoky flame, and they give out black deposits. So that is nothing but also called soot. Alcohol, spirit, acetone, all these are saturated hydrocarbons. They give a non-luminous flame and they don't give black deposits. So if it is smoky, means it's incomplete combustion. If all the fuel is not burning, the temperature provided by that fuel is low. Saturated hydrocarbons, complete combustion, burns, the whole fuel burns, so the temperature is high. So with what we understand here is these two. These are the conclusions that you need to remember. Also, when I said non-luminous, is it completely colorless? No, it does not give out enough light. That's what it means. It does not give out enough light. If you carefully observe, it gives out light blue flame. Let us now understand when do you get a yellow flame and light blue flame or blue flame in the next experiment. In the next activity, activity 4.4, we just take a Bunsen burner. Bunsen burner is the burner that you use in the lab, right? So in this Bunsen burner, you will observe there is a hole over here, and you can cover this hole with a screw. You can cover how much you want, correct? So if you completely cover the screw with very little air entering, you will observe a different color flame. If you open the screw completely, a different color flame. Why does that happen? So inside the Bunsen burner, usually the fuel is spirit. So spirit is saturated hydrocarbon. It should completely burn. But is that the only thing that matters? If it's saturated, will it completely burn? Will it always give complete combustion? No. Let's understand why. If I open this hole completely, there is sufficient air, that is sufficient oxygen entering for the fuel to burn. And when there is sufficient air entering, we observe this flame is blue in color, or in other words, clean flame. Is there any black deposits? No. No deposits. No deposits means what? Complete combustion. Complete combustion means what? High temperature or low temperature? High temperature. Now what I do, spirit is still saturated hydrocarbon, should provide complete combustion, but let me now close the hole partially. So some amount of oxygen enters for it to burn, but is it sufficient? No, it is insufficient air. You will observe now the color of the flame is yellow or sooty, yellow sooty flame. Will there be any deposits? Yes, there will be. Is it complete combustion? No, incomplete combustion. Next, if it's incomplete combustion, all the fuel is not burning properly. There is some amount of fuel going waste. Low temperature. So if you take a carbon compound, we studied the case if there is sufficient air and insufficient air. It only being saturated is not enough. It has to have sufficient air also to give complete combustion. This is the reason when you use your LPG gases at home, usually it is blue in color. But you can observe after excessive use, that means too much usage over a period of time, the flame color becomes yellow in the house, right? And your vessels keep becoming black below. Why does that happen? Because in your LPG burner, there are holes here if you observe, right? If the holes here are blocked, there is insufficient air for it to burn. If there is insufficient air for it to burn, it will give incomplete combustion. That means if you observe a yellow flame, you should actually be getting blue flame on your LPG gas. But if you observe a yellow flame, it means your burners need to be cleaned because your air holes are blocked. Coal and petroleum are considered one of the major pollutants of our environment because they also have nitrogen and sulfur in them. So when you burn them, they not only give carbon dioxide and heat and light, they also provide sulfur dioxide gases, nitrogen oxide gases. So those gases are harmful, which is why they are considered as major pollutants. Let's now study the next property, oxidation. Oxidation, you'll all know what is oxidation, right? When you burn, in a reaction, if there's addition of oxygen, loss of hydrogen, or loss of an electron, then it is undergoing oxidation. What is an oxidizing agent? A substance that helps in addition of oxygen is an oxidizing agent. Two very good examples of oxidizing agents are alkaline KMnO4, alkaline potassium permanganate, and acidified potassium chromate K2Cr2O7. Okay, so now in this activity what we're going to do, let's understand the reaction later. So we will first do the activity. In this activity, before we go to the activity, if I take ethanol and I add alkaline potassium permanganate to it, I heat it to that. Alkaline potassium permanganate is an oxidizing agent. It adds oxygen. So it adds oxygen to it and it converts this. See this part over here, there's an oxygen added. See here, CH3, CHHOH. This bond goes, so two bonds are left and an oxygen gets added using alkaline KMnO4, which is a strong oxidizing agent. So ethanol gets converted to ethanoic acid by adding an oxidizing agent like alkaline potassium permanganate in it. In this experiment, we take ethanol in a beaker. Now, there is ethanol here. I add potassium permanganate in it. Potassium permanganate is pink in color. If I add potassium permanganate in it, you will see that as soon as the potassium permanganate goes inside, this potassium permanganate pink color starts disappearing. The pink color starts disappearing. It keeps disappearing until a point. But then when I add excess potassium permanganate, too much, the pink color continues to stay. Why? See, there is ethanol here. When I put potassium permanganate in it, potassium permanganate falls on the ethanol. They both react. It's an oxidizing agent and then it converts the ethanol into ethanoic acid. So this part became ethanoic acid. More ethanol falls, ethanoic acid, ethanoic acid, ethanoic acid. So everything gets converted to ethanoic acid. Now what do I have in my beaker? Only ethanoic acid. What do I have in my beaker? Only ethanoic acid. Now if this KMnO4 falls inside, is there any ethanol to convert? No, because everything has already become ethanoic acid. So the KMnO4 remains as it is because it does not react, it does not provide oxygen to anyone, it is itself. So the pink color will continue to stay. So initially the pink color disappears. On excess addition, it continues to stay. Why? Because all the ethanol is already converted to ethanoic acid and now the KMnO4 has nothing to convert, it's excess, right? Okay, all these points are summarized in the notes. So in oxidation, you can generalize and say that alcohols are converted to carboxylic acids on oxidation in the presence of alkaline KMnO4. You can generalize the statement. One example is ethanol to ethanoic acid. The next property, addition reaction. What is addition reaction? Addition reaction is a reaction in which one or more atom is added to the substance to make a larger compound. Then it is addition reaction. Very simple. You just add another atom or more than one atom to a already existing compound using some reaction or catalyst, and then you get a bigger compound. That's only addition reaction. What is a catalyst? Just to recap, you'll already know. A catalyst is a substance that usually helps in increasing the speed of a reaction, but sometimes not necessarily increase, right? So a catalyst is a substance that causes the reaction to occur at a different rate meaning speed. It can be faster or slower. So a catalyst is a substance that causes the reaction to occur at a different rate, but it itself does not participate in the reaction. Such a substance is called a catalyst. What is the definition of addition reaction? I already did. Now let's see an example. I have ethene here, 2 carbons, so ethene here, and with the help of nickel catalyst or palladium, you can use any one. Ethene, if I add hydrogen to this, observe what happens. This has already HH. So this bond here will decide to break. Once this breaks, it has one extra bond, It will take the new H coming in. So what happened? CH3, CH3. So what happened here? Ethene got converted to ethane. Addition reaction took place because I added hydrogen. Since there is addition of hydrogen, this reaction is also referred to as hydrogenation reaction. Does this happen with all compounds that have double bond? Yes. If you take any unsaturated compound, that means if there is a double or triple bond, so this R can be anything, okay? It can be H or C, whatever, okay? To this, if you add H2, in the presence of nickel catalyst, the one H sits here, one H sits here. So this R and R is there. Let's add their H's. If you observe, these are unsaturated, these are saturated. So unsaturated hydrocarbons are converted to saturated hydrocarbons on hydrogenation with the presence of nickel catalyst. Where do we use this? Vegetable oils, and we have animal fat. Vegetable oils are unsaturated. Animal fat, saturated. So there are some oils that are also saturated, which is why you can see today in a lot of commercial advertisements they say healthier oil. So it is for sure unsaturated, not saturated. Your dalda that you use outside, in lot of fried substances they use dalda. Dalda is nothing but a vegetable fat. It is saturated. Some of them even have animal fat. So it's bad for the body. Healthier, which is a healthier substance for us? The healthier substance for us is unsaturated hydrocarbons to consume. So you should try to consume unsaturated oils. So in industries, vegetable oil, unsaturated vegetable oil is converted to vegetable ghee, fatty substance. It's saturated by hydrogenation. So we use addition reaction hydrogenation to convert vegetable oil to vegetable ghee in the industries. The next property we will be studying is substitution reaction. First of all, what is substitution reaction? Substitution reaction is a reaction. It goes in the word substitute. So substitution reaction is a reaction in which one of the atoms or many atoms of a compound are replaced by another atom, are substituted by another atom. Such a reaction is called substitution reaction. Let us see an example. Methane. So we have CH4. Methane reacts with chlorine in the presence of sunlight to give one H goes away and one Cl sits there. So Cl sat there, there's one Cl here, one H here, they combine to give HCl, right? So this is nothing but CH4 and this is nothing but CH3Cl. How do you name this compound? This is methane. You're replacing one H with Cl, there's still only one carbon atom and the chlorine is at position 1. Chlorine goes as prefix. So this is chloromethane. Chloromethane. Methane on reaction with chlorine in the presence of sunlight gives chloromethane. So now when you take this trichloromethane, and it continues to react with chlorine in the presence of sunlight, there's UV radiation in it, or you can write sunlight. What happens? One chlorine will go and sit to the next H now. How? One more chlorine got added here and the H came out, there's one more chlorine, HCl. Two chlorines, one chlorine sat here, one chlorine went with H. So this is what CH2Cl2. You can also call this as at position 1. So chlorine, chlorine at position 1, dichloromethane. Now I will write it in concise form. If I add one more chlorine, what do you think happens? One chlorine goes and sits with a H, one H goes to HCl. So the sunlight here, so it becomes CHCl3 plus HCl, right? You can only split the bonds and write. I'm hoping you can do that. CHCl3. What is the CHCl3 called? Trichloromethane. Next, CHCl3 plus Cl2 sunlight, one more Cl goes and sits, CCl4 plus HCl. Tetrachloromethane, common name of this, carbon tetrachloride. Okay, this trichloromethane is nothing but also referred to as chloroform. You must have seen in these movies where the kidnappers usually put a liquid in a handkerchief and go and keep on the nose and the person faints. It's nothing but this compound, chloroform. So here you can observe in this reaction, if I add one more Cl2, will any reaction occur further? No, because all the bonds of this carbon are occupied with Cl already. Who else will it replace, right? So this replacement happens until all the bonds are replaced. So we can just say substitution reaction for methane is covered here. You can also try it out for ethane. Page 71, question 1. Why is the conversion of ethanol to ethanoic acid an oxidation reaction? Because ethanol to ethanoic acid, there is addition of oxygen. Addition of oxygen is oxidation reaction. Second question, a mixture of oxygen and ethine is burnt for welding. Can you tell why a mixture of ethine and air is not used? If ethine is burnt in the presence of air, there might be a case where there is insufficient oxygen for the reaction. And if there is insufficient oxygen, incomplete combustion takes place. Incomplete combustion means gives a yellow sooty flame and the temperature is low. But for welding, One, we want very high temperatures. Do you want black deposits on whatever you're welding? You want a clean flame, right? So you want very high temperature and you want complete combustion to take place. For complete combustion to take place, you need sufficient oxygen. So what will you do to the ethane? You only add sufficient oxygen.